So it is 10:30 by my watch, so I think we'll start this event. And the candidates who are going to be talking are up here. We have 7 candidates. And I introduce to you Bruce Seeloff, who has been chair of the nominating committee. So he will do the calling of the candidates. You can either use a microphone or you can use the podium. Bruce?
Thanks, Judith. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. To start off this session, I'd like to say thanks to all the...
Louder, please. Could you say everybody's name first so we know?
the candidate's name. We'll get to that in just a moment. Is that any better?
Yes.
All right, I'll hold it right up here. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the members of the nominating committee, who are Jean Musto, Susan Meredith, Gustav Davis, and Mary Ellis Frankenberger. They did a great job for us in helping us select the nominees that we have to present to you today. And further to that, I can name the 7 nominees that we have selected. We have 4 positions open on the council, so we'll be electing 4 from this group of 7, and that will appear on the ballots, which will be available either this Friday or the beginning of the week next week. And I'm not quite sure what the balloting dates are. I have that in another piece of paper that I'm not going to reach for.
They're going to go out by the 14th and have to be returned by December 2nd, so we have time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time. The candidates we have selected include one who unfortunately can't be here today, and that's Mike Collins. Next is Claire Corbin, followed by Arnold Heiser, then Ina Lowenberg, Robert McCormick, Fred Morrison, and John Watson. And I presume those other 6 are already here. I see most of them. So we'll proceed. Each candidate will have a chance to introduce himself and to speak for 5 minutes on the subject of their candidacy or their own personal history or whatever else they care to talk about, or they care to reserve some time for questions from you folks. So we'll start off with Claire Corbin this morning. Thank you, Claire, for being a candidate.
First of all, can everybody hear me? Yes. Oh, good. Good morning. I'd like to say thank you very much for coming, and thank you for nominating me to run for the council. I think it's a very important part of this community. I'd like to also say I'm not an Eli. Women were not admitted to Yale until 1969, and by that time I had completed my graduate degree and had moved on. I'm a little different background from probably a lot of the other candidates in that I'm a nurse. I have worked in nursing for 45 years, and of those 45 years, I've spent at least 34 or so years as a faculty, teaching nursing both in the clinical area and also lecturing, and I've also been a dean of 2 nursing programs, and so I've been involved in a whole lot of committee meetings, and both on the school level, but also on the state level and national level, SACS, which is the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. But most of all, I'd like to talk about the Whitney Center. My husband and I came here about 9.5 months ago, and we have come here because, well, first of all, we have a son that lives in the area, but secondly, we came here because we were so impressed by the Whitney Center. It has so much to offer that a lot of other places that we looked at do not. A lot of it has to do with the music, the art, the lectures, and the history, but most of all, as we've gotten to know the people here, we've been very impressed by the people themselves. They're very friendly, and they have amazing backgrounds. A lot of them have also been faculty members. Some of them have been involved in business enterprises and have done a lot of work also on committees, et cetera, that I have done. Then the reason I'm very glad to be nominated on this committee is that I think as a member of a community, you need to become part of the community and work in that community. I belong to a couple of committees, one of which is the music committee, and I also work with, on occasion, Hal Cohen on the Health and Safety Committee. I sing in the chorale, or try to anyway. And I enjoy some of the classes. I take painting, and I love coming, obviously, to the music and to the lectures, et cetera. There are big issues, I think, when you are involved in a committee such as this one, and I think being aware of what they are is important, and knowing how you as a community feel is important to get back to the committee itself. So I listen, and I will be very open to anybody that wants to talk about what they feel is important, to bring it to the committee and to hopefully bring to some kind of consensus on the committee and either resolve the issue or bring it to the management, because I think that's really kind of the role of a committee, to work with the community, to help them resolve issues, and to work with the management. I think I'm a good listener, and I'm very willing to speak on behalf of the community, of anybody that has an issue or would like me to become involved in anything. And I certainly enjoy living here, and I am open to anybody's questions. Does anybody have any questions? And I don't think I'm going to take 5 minutes. I think I'm probably done.
Actually, you took
2.5.
all but 1:16. Okay, the next candidate on the list is Arnold Heiser. Arnie?
Good morning, friends. The Residents' Council is dedicated to representing all of us. They are here to continue ensuring our safety and our well-being. They serve as the communication link between us, Whitney Center staff, and management. I wish to join the Residents' Council so that I can serve with them and continue their service to the whole community. I've been here at the Whitney Center for about 3.5 years now. I became a member of a couple of committees, and when the Communications and Technology Committee was formed in May 2023, Herb Kolodny and I became the co-chairs. When Herb retired from his co-chairmanship, I became the chair. I have also served on the Whitney Center Hearing Task Force, and I am now a member of the Whitney Center Solar Energy Panel. I spent more than 4 decades in my astrophysical profession as a faculty member in the Physics and Astronomy Department of Vanderbilt University, teaching and undertaking research. When we moved to Connecticut about 16 years ago, I began presenting lifelong learning courses at both the Institute for Learning in Retirement and at UConn's Waterbury campus. I have given a couple of informal talks here on astronomical topics, and I occasionally entertain the men's group there by chatting about current events in the observable universe. My wife Vivian and I have 2 children and subsequently 4 grandchildren. And as all you grandparents know, all our grandchildren, including mine, are smart, creative, sensitive, and loving. So thank you all for coming here this morning and listening to our chattering.
Thank you, Arnie. Next in line here is Ms. Ina Lowenberg. Ina, you want to come up, or you want me to bring this over to you? Fine.
Can you hear me? Okay. It's hard to follow Arnie, I must say. But, and I will not go into the details of my various careers. All that I will say is that I wrote a memoir that was called A Life a la carte, and you know what a la carte means. I also have not been ever, I think, elected to anything, so this is something new for me. In high school, my best friend and I ran for some position, which I can't remember, as Tweedledum and Tweedledee. But I was not elected to that, and I didn't try ever again. When I visited Whitney Center, thinking of moving here, I was already on my walker, but I didn't see, amazingly, I didn't see any other people on walkers. I don't even know how that's possible. It was in May of 2022. And so I asked Colleen about it, and she gave me a couple of telephone numbers of people to call. And one person whom I called was Roberta Thornton, whom you will remember. And Roberta said, yes, she used a walker, but she wasn't at all interested in talking about that. She wanted to tell me that what was distinctive about this place was that the residents run everything. Now, it may not seem to you always that we are running everything, but in fact, we have a lot to do with what goes on. So when I came here, it was easy to start a poetry reading group, such as the one I had in Iowa City, Iowa, and people keep joining it, which is wonderful. And I briefly put my toe in the dining services committee, but I'm now happily in the film committee, which is wonderful, and the art gallery committee. The interesting thing about what Roberta said is not just that we run everything, but let's think about just some particular things. It was very easy to start a new group and to get people coming to it. And more than that, in Iowa City, we put on wonderful poetry readings, but we didn't get audiences because the people from the writers' workshops scorned us. And so what we got were spouses and best friends. But here, you give a program, any program, but of course they're all good. You give a program and you fill this room. And that is marvelous. That is one has a little bit of the ham in one, that's marvelous. So I have no agenda for being on the Residents' Council, but I have a critical frame of mind, and I am open to all kinds of things. And it would be something new for me to be a politician, if that's what I would be. So I thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ina. Next on the list is Robert McCormick. You want to? Can you do both?
Proves I can do many things, but driving this may not be it. Am I heard? I'm Bob McCormick, And if you'd like to hear me speak from whence I came, it was North Georgia, and no one will understand a thing I said. However, I was born in Buffalo, and I'm once again one of the heathens who went to school at Brown. And thank you, Joe. And for those of you who have a piece of paper in their hand that doesn't have a name on it, it is mine. I have been here for 5 months, and I am alone. My wife is down in North Georgia, and she is there for a reason. And the reason is that if I were to stay down there, I would die. I would die from one of the committees which we will begin today, and it is the Committee for Alcoholism, something that no one seems to want to face here. Statistically, there should be 30 active alcoholics in this community. They don't seem to show up. My daughter and I came twice to Connecticut looking for a place to live. We went to many places and found some slick places. People who wore high heels at 8 o'clock in the morning, and men with two president watches on each wrist had nothing to say. People here could do whole sentences, and drove down the main street, and they had a whole library, which was to me quite wonderful. I could find books that I could read, and people with whom I could have conversations. Those people who I liked. They were very easy to like. They were bright. They were fun. Nobody bragged, although they could brag about their brains if they wanted to, because they had them. I was delighted. And we came back again and spoke to people. When I was being interviewed, I was interviewed by Colleen, and she said, you know, this is a conservative, or I'm sorry, liberal organization. And I said, uh-huh. And she said, a liberal organization. You're from North Georgia. Well, North Georgia is not full of those. And I said, uh-huh, I understand. And she said, where did you go to school? I said, I went to Brown. She said, oh, that will be fine. And I continued to go through the crew, people I met, and I was just so delighted. The pressures that I had during my life, living with an active alcoholic, drifted away, just as an indication of what took place. When I lived there, south, my blood pressure would be 190/90. Since I have, and that's medicated. Since I have come here, it's gone down to 112/60x. And my thank you very much. And my heart rate is somewhere around 52 to 58. I am feeling so at home amongst all of you that I thank you for being here for me. The pieces of paper you have there have my short CV of what I may or may not have ever accomplished, really, but it sounds good. And actually, it's the real thing. And I thank you so much for letting me be here and to stand in front of you. And I see there are 21 seconds allowed me yet. And so I'm going to wrap right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That was wonderful. And thank you, Claire. Okay. Next up is the candidate who actually now serves on the council, who is Fred Morrison. Fred? Fred is running for a second term, which you can do after serving your 2-year term.
Yes. Well, following up on Bob, I just want to let Bob know that my money and my granddaughter went to Brown. So I get some credit, I guess, off of that. Anyway, to sort of, my educational background is pretty simple and straightforward. I have a BA in history and Bible studies, a master's in divinity. I think you can tell that by just looking at me. And a master's of social work. I spent most of my work life after a very short time in the Christian ministry working as a social worker. And as that, I did both clinical and administrative work. I had a private practice where I saw people for individual couples and family therapy. I also did a lot of administrative work, both as a vice president at Midstate Medical Center, as president of Midstate Behavioral Health, which is a company that takes care of people with severe and profound mental illness, providing a whole range of services for them, and that's located up in Meriden. I also was the executive director of Fellowship Place, which some of you may be familiar with here in New Haven, which is an agency that serves about 600 individuals that live in the community with severe and profound mental illness and substance abuse disorders. That was basically my work life. I've been at Whitney Center this is in my 4th year. While here, I've joined the Nature and Conservation Committee. I'm, as you know, on the Residence Council and also the chair of the Employee Appreciation Fund. Please get your money in. We're still a little short, so we're pushing to get it up to where it needs to be, so I had to add that here. I am the co-coordinator of the Third Act, which is a group of about 40 of us, an interest group here, focused on concerns about democracy and climate change. And I sing in the chorale, and I'm on tune if I'm next to Greg Seaman. Yeah. Otherwise, I kind of tone it down. I believe the Residence Council provides a very important role for all of us, and that's some of the other speakers have commented on it, so I won't repeat that, except to say that if I'm reelected, what I want to focus on in the next 2 years is the committees, because it's through our committee structure that we have that those of us here who have interests and concerns and capabilities can really engage with the process of representing the interest of residents and dealing with administration and how we work together as partners in creating an environment that is fulfilling to all of us. So anyway, see I have, okay, I'm about done, so at that I will stop.
Thank you, Fred. Next up is John Watson. John, welcome to the podium.
Thank you. This hat is from the area in Maine where I spent pretty much all of August, so I won't be available during that time slot. Took me quite a while to decide how to begin this rousing campaign speech for a couple of reasons. First, I'm not sure how I feel about winning or losing. I don't know who nominated me or why, and I'm not at all sure I want to spend the time on the work of the council and, more significantly, in the meetings. I hate meetings. I've been on, even chaired, what seems like a vast number of committees and organizations, religious, professional, and community service oriented, and meetings are consistently the most annoying aspect of the job. I did find when chairing one group that the meetings went a lot better and faster when the chair, me, doesn't allow too much free speech. I don't mean you can or should limit the content of the speech or the opinions expressed, just that you can properly limit the length of people's speeches and the number of times they apparently feel compelled to speak, even though they're just saying the same thing over and over. Another factor in choosing how to begin this talk was that it's been done so many times before and so well. Should I just use one of the past surefire successes? Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth. How can I improve on those? Well, I can't, so I'll just jump in and give you a few biographical details you might think relevant on deciding whether to vote for me or not. I'm a largely retired lawyer, a career public defender in the Connecticut state courts, doing trial and post-conviction work for more than 20 years and ending up with the Connecticut Innocence Project, which in Connecticut is part of the Connecticut Public Defender System. I'm doing some volunteer work still with the New Haven group, working with people with immigration issues. Before law school, I was an actor and a theater technician for years in Boston, later in Connecticut. I still do a good bit of theater, both with a private group theater in New Haven and here at Whitney Center. We moved to Connecticut in 1974 when Susan graduated from law school and moved here to join a women's law firm. She later became and remains part-time a labor arbitrator resolving disputes between workers and employers. Here we raised 2 kids who went to the New Haven public schools. They went on to college and grad school and now work in nonprofits, one in our area and the other in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have a total of 5 grandkids, ages 8 to 12. You'll often see our daughter and her family, husband and 3 kids, visiting and having breakfast on lunch on Sundays. Our dog, a silver poodle named Maisie, whom many of you know, is far better known than I am and probably handle meetings with more grace. Bottom line, do I want to join the council? Well, as I said at first, I don't know. But I've decided that I get a lot from Whitney Center. And though it's not perfect, it's pretty good. I've been here for more than 5 years now. So I should be willing, if not eager, to give something back if you want me to. Now I'm worried about ending this speech. Well, Abe said, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here." From my own experience lately, I know how likely I am to forget things, even this speech. I'll just sit down and shut up.
Thank you, John. Okay, there you have it, the group that we have nominated for the council. I hope that gave you some insights into the folks that are running. Yes, I have a question from the back.
Is there a question?
You were waving at me. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was just going to let people know that the ballots will be in your cubby holes, your mail cubby holes by the weekend, and you'll fill them out for your selection, return them either to the south or the north ballot desk. And the last day that you can return them is Tuesday, December 2nd. So that's quite a bit of time. And then the tellers will get together and there'll be a count on December 5th, and the candidates will be notified on who won the election on December 5th. And then at our annual meeting on December 8th, we'll announce the winners and we'll put them on the council. So that's our schedule. Questions?
No, I don't have a question. I would just like to say that if we put those speeches online, we would have 100% that here. Well, I'm just saying that people ask me about this place. And people ask us about this place, and we, of course, are very happy here. But if they could hear the speeches of these people, they would run here.
Good marketing. Or away. Any other questions that you might have about the candidates or for the candidates, or if not, or the process? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Well, thank you all for coming.